In this video, I'm going to attempt to take one of these switch magnets. I made a previous film using this to make a bandsaw rip fence, and now I'm going to see if I can make a featherboard. And I decided to make the featherboard out of this piece of, I think it's Douglas fir. It could be spruce, but whatever it is, it has super tight grain here, about 1 millimeter apart down here. And I'm using that tight grain wood, so when I make my lines coming through this way, and I'm going to have to kind of make my featherboard on a diagonal, then each of these grains of wood will go into one of those fingers and make it very strong and probably pretty flexible. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll continue to put these parallel lines at 1/2 inch intervals. Now that I have these parallel lines drawn, I'm going to strike an angular line coming across here. These are going to be the fingers, and then down here I'll have my magnet placement right here and here, and hopefully I can get the diagonals I want. So you can see I have a diagonal here, and I'm running my combination square so I can put another diagonal there, leaving a substantial amount of wood on each side. Looks like about 1/4 inch to give me enough strength to cut these holes out and not lose all the strength of the wood. So I'll go ahead and eyeball it and strike a line across there. My idea now is, before I do anything else, I'm going to trace these out and cut them out, because if I have a fail, I'd like to have it happen now before I make all these parallel cuts. Now I'll drill some strategically placed holes so I can punch this through pretty easily with a jigsaw. Any of you novice woodworkers, it's kind of stupid to do what I just did like that, because if you get your finger right between that bit and the wood, then you've got hamburger there instead of finger. Okay, here we go with some jigsaw cutting, and I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to be bored by the long cut. Well, you can see I'm finished with cutting the feathers on this feather board. I think I'm going to go ahead and kind of put a roundish shape here, and on this side take it around the back side. It was fairly easy to do. What I'm most impressed with is the scraps I was getting off of this. Using this new magnetic fence, it was great. I just squared it up on the back side and ran it through. And take a look at that scrap. I mean, I couldn't ask for much better than that coming off of this nice new magnetic fence. The only problem I really encountered is the scraps were so small that I put some tape here to get zero clearance, and you can see it began to catch and scuff up a bit here. So if you have any ideas for me next time, let me know. But I'm real happy with it. I'll go on to the next step now off camera. So here's what I ended up with, but I have a problem. These tines are really stiff. They're not going to work as a feather board. I have the grain going out with them, but they're too wide and they almost have no flex in them. So I tried another design and I made the tines very thin and angled, and I think that's what you need, is the angle. But in doing that, notice I have the grain going horizontally and the tines are going kind of at a diagonal, and if you push here they depress really nicely, but you listen very carefully, you hear them cracking because there's no strength in the wood with the grain going across a thin piece like that. So this is going to have to remain a beta version, and we'll get rid of that. And here's my second attempt, and notice I made the tines are at a diagonal, but I took and I let the grain go at that same diagonal, so each of these tines has a lot of strength to them and they still have flexibility. What I don't understand when I see these feather boards is you see the feathering all the way down, but when you get down here pretty far they get darn stiff. I mean, they move a little bit, you can see. But I think this is going to make a good feather board, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it up now and finish it off. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this boiled linseed oil as just a finish that is good for just knocking around the shop. Okay, so let's give it a test. If we're going to run this through and rip this piece, we can take this switch magnet fence and put it up there and depress the feathers just a little bit, and then pull it back and give it a ride. Seems to be cutting very well. Thank you for watching.